day 50, a better covenant. We're looking at chapter 8, Hebrews, verse 7 to 13. There is a huge amount of, in Hebrews, there's a huge amount of connections with the book of Exodus. So in the book of Exodus, God's person Moses goes up to the mountain and receives the law, and he receives the Ten Commandments. He also receives the new covenant or promise. Obey these commandments and it will go well with you in the new land. As he comes down, as you know, the Ten Commandments are broken, and then they go off into the desert and they wander around the desert for 40 years, and they're really meant to enter the new rest, the new place. In the meantime, they build, or at some stage in Exodus, there is complete detailed instructions on building a tabernacle or a temple, place where God lives. And so these themes of the tabernacle, of the temple, of the law, of Exodus, of rest are all throughout Hebrews. And the writer to Hebrews is trying to say that you're looking for a rest, you're looking for a law, you're looking to follow the law, you're looking for the covenant, you're holding on to the promise. All of these things are better in this new person, Jesus. God's promises are fulfilled in Jesus. And so today we have a new or better covenant. Listen to this. For if the first covenant had been faultless, the first promise, there would have been no occasion for a second one. But God found fault with his people, as we know as they walk through the desert. And as we, in the Old Testament, we see time and time again, God's people fail. He says, from the book of Jeremiah prophecy, see, the days are coming when I'll make a new covenant with my people, not like the covenant that I made with their ancestors as they took them out of Egypt. This covenant I'll make, and I will put my law in their minds and write it on their hearts. I will be their God, and they will be my people. And each person will not teach his fellow citizen, know the Lord, because they will know me, from the least to the greatest, and I will forgive them and never again remember their sins. And he says here, by saying a new covenant, he's declared the first one is obsolete. So the writer of the Hebrews is saying, there is a new promise. It's no longer found through law, but people know God, and it's in their hearts. They can know him. They know who they're created by. They are aware of their sin, and they're turning away in their rebellion and doing their own thing. But all people, not just Israelites, all people can know God, from the greatest to the least. They can know God, and they can know of God's forgiveness, because there's a better promise now that is found not in the law or the old covenant or entering the rest, but it's now through the Lord Jesus Christ. And so the promise is that you can know God through him and through what Jesus has done. And that's why Hebrews talks about Jesus. Through Jesus you can enter the rest. Through Jesus you can know God himself. Through Jesus you have the law written on your hearts, and now it's the law of faith expressed through love of others. That's the new promise. In Hebrews it's also described as an anchor, because it holds and is anchored in the storms of life. It's not a promise that you'll never experience the storms of life, but rather it's a promise, a sure promise, that you can know God and that he is your King. That's it for today.